let's get into it. So comedian Jess Hilarious is under fire right now. She decided to make some statements against the trans community, more specifically trans women, and what she believes is an attack on biological women from trans women. So there was a clip of a trans woman going around that was saying that biological women are not the gatekeepers for periods. So that made Jess go ham, and she was in that video talking about what's the difference between trans people and people with mental issues. The only difference is the trans people don't have straitjackets on. Jess was saying that of course biological women are the gatekeepers of periods because they're the ones who have the periods, and that they're the ones born with all the parts that the trans women want, and they make the people, they create the people that become trans. And Jess was saying that we are what you never will be, what you want to be, but what you never will be. So Jess was giving it spicy. And first I gotta ask, before I even give my take on it, what was that all about? The level of anger that Jess had in that was crazy. She was definitely hyped, definitely heated. So this is something she had been feeling for a while. Maybe was a little nervous to say something. Didn't want to be labeled a transphobe, but she got her stuff off there, and she was letting them have it. And of course, everybody came out with an opinion. Some people praising her, saying, yeah, there's a war on women. Of course, there's other people calling her transphobic and saying this is a shame. It's an attack on the trans community. Yeah, but whatever it was, whatever you feel about it when you watch that, you can all agree she was clearly upset. Jess Hilarious was clearly upset. So this caused Jess to go back and forth with a trans woman. I believe the name is T.S. Madison. I believe that's the name, T.S. Madison. So the trans woman, Jess were, stating their piece, saying their sides. T.S. Madison clearly standing up for trans women. Jess clearly standing up for biological women. My take on the whole matter is, this trans thing has become such a hot topic, such a hot issue, and even a few years ago, it really wasn't that big of a deal. I think the most that anybody was tripping off of was, there was a little bit of discussion about what bathroom they can use, but nothing had ever gotten to this point where even if you wear a rainbow or anything, you're woke and you're trying to harass children or whatever, brainwash, groom children. I don't get that aspect of it where people have made it to where any trans thing is like attack on children, because that just sounds ridiculous to me. I don't think that trans, being part of a trans community, is saying that you want to groom children. That's just stupid fear tactics used to distract us from the real issues going on in this world, which most of this trans stuff is. I truly believe that. There's a lot more important things going on in the world. People are going into debt for healthcare. People are dying because they don't have healthcare. Student loans out of this world. Cost of living is going up, and wages aren't keeping up with that. A lot of stuff going on. The wealthy are getting tax cuts, subsidies, and bailouts, and the poor people, they're trying to find ways to cut any type of government aid that helps those who are less fortunate financially. So it's a lot of messed up stuff going on, but people want to get distracted with this trans stuff. So let's talk about the trans stuff. So what I believe is, I think that people have a right to live their life however they want to. I believe if you're trans and if you want to be trans, and if you want to say that you are put in a man's body but you want to be a girl, that's fine. Trans people have a right to live their life how they want to. I have no problem with that. If you ask me, do I believe that if you were born in a girl's body, if you feel like you're a man, that's true? No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that if you're born in a woman's body, if you're born in a man's body, you feel like you're a woman. I don't believe that. But I can't get in your head to prove either way, and it doesn't affect my life one way or the other. So I'm really not going to stress about it. And if that's what you want to do, more power to you, and that makes you happy, that's great. The other thing I would say is, if you are going to become a trans, if you still want to mess with, well, if you want to become a trans woman and you want to mess with men, or you want to become a trans man and you want to mess with women, the only thing I would say is let them know that's the right thing to do. So that would be my only thing to say, that should be done. But other than that, live your life. So I'm cool with that. But I do understand, I do see how sometimes the way things are acted out, or what's allowed and what's not allowed is not really equal. So, the trans people want certain pronouns. If they're a trans woman, they want to be she, her, hers. If they're a trans man, they want to be he, his, him, or whatever. They want the proper pronouns to go with what they're transitioning to. but they feel that they have the right to now label us cisgenders. And I don't go with the cis thing. I don't believe in the cis thing. Like I said, I don't believe that women can, or anybody, I don't believe that you could just say, oh, I was born in the wrong body, and that you are now, because you say that you want to transform into this opposite sex, you are now that opposite sex. I don't believe in that, but I believe that you have that right to feel it. If that's what you really feel, and that's what you think is the truth, who am I to say I'm just one person? And but you should now give that same respect to people who don't want to be called cis. I'm not cis. I'm a straight man. I was born the way I feel that I was born the right way, what I am. So why do I have to get a label? I don't need a label just because you want to transform. That's on you. You want that respect. I feel like that respect should be sent back on the opposite end. Now, I do see that there's a lot of phrases that people misconstrue, like birthing person or breastfeeder. Those are more medical terms that are used in the sense of, a way to describe who you're dealing with, because in this world we live in now, they say that, well, women aren't the only ones who can breastfeed. Trans men can breastfeed. Like they say, well, women aren't the only ones who can have periods. Trans women can have periods. Trans men can have periods. Trans men can breastfeed. Trans men can give birth. That's what they say. Now, to me, like I said, that just sounds crazy, because that trans man is really just a woman who decided to want to be a man, but out of respect for their lifestyle, okay, let's say that. So trans men can do all the same things that biological women can do, unless they do something to stop that, right? So that's where that comes from, and you don't really hear those type of phrases like birthing person or breastfeeder outside of medical situations. So those are just like scapegoat, like bullcrap examples that people use to try to scare people, but it's not really, the real on it. But like I said, the cis thing, that is a real issue, and that is something I don't like. And I don't like how we have to try to, I guess, beg for them not to call us that and defend ourselves, saying we're not transphobic. Or even when you have women who feel a certain way about, these trans women coming on a little strong, coming on a little bold, and wanting to feel like on equal a level with them. I can to some degree understand that if you grew up a girl, raised a girl, and now you're having a girl, you never had any confusions about what gender you are. Now this person who, just transformed themselves, and sometimes it's not just transformed, sometimes they've known since they were a kid. Especially nowadays, we're going to see in the next 10 years how that goes, where kids now are deciding much younger and are allowed to start, the transition process, how that's going to affect things in the future. But even still, like, you made that decision. This is who I am, and I am that regular person. I am a birthing person. I can have babies. I can have periods. This is what I do. And so I understand women coming from it in the way that they're coming from it and feeling a certain type of way. And the same way that the trans community wants some type of respect and understanding and at least an ear to listen to them, I think that they should be able to give that same level of respect to traditional or biological women in that same instance, because this is a brave new world. This is a new thing, and I don't think a lot of people have a problem accepting it if that's what you want to do. But I think it's this push of, okay, but we're just exactly the same, that's kind of throwing people off, because it's not exactly the same, and it never will be. It never will be exactly the same, because you had to create yourself into this, whereas that person, which is the biological woman, was born this. So there's a difference, and it's just going to take some conversations, and it's going to take a lot of people listening and accepting some language initially so that we can get over this hump and maybe we can do better. I will say about Jess Hilarious, though, it's kind of funny how she starts that. If you watch the video, she starts that by saying, when are we going to be taken care of it? And she's talking about us as women. And my only problem with Jess Hilarious saying this is, and she's like the biggest, like, I don't need no man, I'm independent, it's the 21st century, person I've heard. So it's kind of funny for her now to turn around and want to play the victim and say, I'm a woman, I need protecting. No, Jess. You was not on that before. You did not need protection. You an independent 21st century 2023 type of woman. You don't need no man for nothing. So you need to keep that same energy. And that's the only problem I would have with people like Jess, is that they want to be the big bad tough bully until it gets real, and all of a sudden they want to start whining and using their female privileges to, hey, can you do something about that for me? And look at all the men, and all of a sudden you need them, right? But whatever. But all that aside too, because that's just another tangent. Yo, this transgender thing is messy. It's not as insane as a lot of people like on the right will have you think, that it's like, oh my God, this is crazy epidemic. What's going on? The world is losing its mind. But it's not just so cut dry as I think a lot of progressives and liberals will have you think, where it's just like, that's just what it is. No, it's not. It's not just that's what it is, because there's levels to this. When did you decide you want to transition? Did you go through puberty? Has your muscle bone density and all that? There's a lot of stuff you gotta think about. And on top of that, you just transformed right now, and you're kind of upsetting these other women because you're trying to force your verbiage on them, and your mindset on them, and your thought on them, and you're talking about they don't gatekeep periods, and you can't even have a period, but trying to say, well, because trans men can have periods, but that trans man was born a woman, biological woman, so how can you use that as to try to say that women can't gatekeep? It just gets to a whole messy situation. And so I get that trans people want to belong. And I'm not against them belonging, because they're here to stay. They grown. They can do whatever they want to do, whether you like it or not. They're here to stay, and that's their right to dress however they want to dress and call themselves whatever they want to call themselves. I'm not gonna be up all night mad about it. I'm not going to any rallies crying about it. I damn sure ain't gonna use my kids as an excuse to be mad. I'm just gonna live my life, do what I want to do. I think the sooner we can get to that point, and the sooner we can start having real conversations where everybody can talk and have a real understanding, the sooner we can do that, the sooner we can move past this and maybe have more respect for one another.
It's the WACCast podcast. Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.
Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.
It's the WACCast podcast. Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.
Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.